Russ, could you tell us the difference when it comes to microevolution and macroevolution?
Yes. And I think it's vital to understand the difference. It seems like I'm one of the few creationists that want to use the word microevolution, but I think it's a mistake not to define it. You see, microevolution and microadaptations and microtransitions, they're all the exact same thing. It's like saying I stepped on the front porch or the front deck or the front patio. Micro changes, whether you call it evolution, adaptations, or variations, let's say, um, they're caused by the sorting or the loss of the starting genetic information. So the genetic information inherited from the parents, there's your starting genetic information, and changes between the offspring and the parent, the micro changes, are caused by the sorting, recombination, or loss of that starting information. It's called genetic depletion or gene depletion. Some people call it genetic entropy. But the gene pools in micro changes get weaker and weaker and weaker, and they get too weak, they die off. They call that natural selection. There's no selector there. It's God's quality assurance program. If things kept losing information unchecked, everything will go extinct in about 1,500 years. Now, macroevolution is Darwinian evolution. One kind producing a different kind. So microevolution, microadaptations, they always produce the same kind with variations within the kind caused by the sorting or loss of information. You can get a wide range of dogs. We have 350 or so types of dogs on Earth, but they only produce dogs with changes within caused by the, again, recombination or loss of information. Now, Darwin, and that's all that science finds, by the way. Operational science, if they did 1 million experiments on this, they're going to find 1 million examples that kinds only bring forth after their kind.
Before you move on from that, because let's make sure that people hear that. When you hear from an evolutionist that it started out as this and turned into that, how does that argue with what we see in Genesis about things being created after their own kind? And what do we see in the observable world around us? Because you started to go down that road. People need to know this.
Yes. So why is it vital that we understand that kinds only bring forth after their kind? Dogs only produce dogs, people only produce people, etc. Well, because 10 times in the book of Genesis, we're told plants and or animals will bring forth after their kind. And here we are today, and the only thing that operational science, real science, a believer's best friend, has ever seen are micro changes as kinds only bring forth after their kind. But Kyle asked me also about macroevolution. Well, macroevolution, that's Darwinian type evolution, where let's say a dog produces a non-dog, given, of course, the magic ingredient, which is, as you know, millions and billions of years of time. Time beyond comprehension somehow makes the impossible seem possible, to at least to them. But macroevolution requires massive amounts of new and beneficial, not just new and beneficial genetic information being added to a gene pool. Well, operational science, real science, a believer's best friend, knows of no viable way for nature to add appreciable amounts of new and beneficial genetic information to a gene pool. This is the reason there's no evidence of Darwinian macro ever found. If you go to the biology books up to the PhD level, you'll see all of their proofs of Darwinian evolution are always drawings. And there's an old saying that goes like this: Darwinists are experts at drawing things that never existed to support their theory that never took place. Now, honestly, if you took away their box of crayons, they've got nothing. What they will show, go to any textbook and look, they only show micro changes. Now, going back to that word evolution, I don't disagree that once you've explained the difference between microevolution and Darwinian macroevolution, then it's best just to call the micro changes, micro adaptations, micro variations. But if you don't define it, and you're in a debate, the other side's going to, every time you show a variation, they're going to say, well, evolution has changed over time. That's evolution. That's what I'm talking about. But once you define the difference between micro and macro, if they try to point out, well, that change within the dogs, that's change over time, and you already pointed out it's caused by the loss of information, they can't bring it up. They've got nowhere to go. So it's important to define the word and understand that micro is caused by the loss of information. Macro requires massive amounts of new and beneficial. In real science, doesn't know how that can happen. Yes, they claim mutations, but Chris, Kyle, I don't think anyone's ever been sitting in the waiting room waiting for a child or a grandchild to be born and praying that they're mutated. I don't think that's likely to happen. Maybe if you're a neo-Darwinist, maybe, but God takes care of us, fortunately.